Alright. Goedenavond iedereen. Goedenavond. Welkom bij de Voices of Fashion Talk, vierde deel al. Wij gaan vandaag praten over de invloed van Engelstalige hiphop in Nederland. En ook wat het heeft gehad op onze kleding. We hebben die fantastische gasten voor jullie. Even tussendoor, mijn naam is Leroy Lucas. Ik heb mee mogen werken aan de tentoonstelling in het Centraal Museum. Goedenavond, welkom bij de Voices of Fashion Talk, vierde. Ik hoor mezelf dubbel. Wij gaan vandaag praten over de invloed van Engelstalige hiphop in Nederland. En ook... Ja, oké. Het geluid is een beetje gefixt. Maar zoals ik al aan het zeggen was, ik heb mee mogen werken aan de Voices of Fashion tentoonstelling in het Centraal Museum. En daar ben ik absoluut heel dankbaar voor. Dus nogmaals, dikke shout-out aan het Centraal Museum om dit allemaal mogelijk te hebben gemaakt. We hebben fantastische gasten zoals jullie kunnen zien. We hebben Glaze en Rene D-Rock Phillips. Ik laat hun zelf even aan jullie introduceren. En nog even tussendoor, we gaan ook even switchen tussen Engels en Nederlands. Dus ik hoop dat jullie het thuis niet erg vinden. Het is wat het is hiphop. Het is hoe we het doen. Hi. Glaze, we start with you, man.
Why me? Let's go with Rene first.
Oh man,
Okay.
Ik ben Rene. Ik zit bij Two Brothers on the Fourth Floor. Ik heb samen met Glaze, ik gepubliceerd bij Glaze, bij de pitch. Ja, en hiphop is gewoon mijn leven.
He's super humble. I'm gonna do his introduction.
Yeah.
This is Rene Phillips, aka D-Rock, hip-hop pioneer. Been rapping since the beginning of the game. Started out as in the mellow MCs.
Bring it on, baby.
Went on to 24K. 95, before 95, started Two Brothers on the Fourth Floor with Desiree and Martin and Bobby.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Sold close to 50 million records. After that, basically joined me on the pitch in 1995, where we done hundreds of programs, premiering some of the biggest hip hop videos of all time and doing some of the most legendary interviews ever. So that's D-Rock right there, y'all.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Give a hand. Okay, we're gonna pass it over to Glaze then. Let's go.
Yeah, man.
My name is Glaze, entrepreneur, hip hop pioneer, just a true lover of the culture and everything that is hip hop.
Fighter for the culture.
That's it. Hey, for sure. That's me. I mean, we'll get deeper into me later, but yeah, I was born in London. I grew up in New York. Was there at the beginning of hip hop in the U.S. Thankfully in Brooklyn in New York. Grew up with all of the greats, everybody from Bismarck, rest in peace, to
Rest in peace.
to the Fat Boys, to Big Daddy Kane, Busta. So I grew up kind of with everybody. Moved to the Netherlands in 1990 for the first time, and started rapping. Sold a lot of records in Germany and then in Europe. This kind of how me and D, fam, we done tours together too.
Yeah, man.
France and everything. So yeah, so like I said, I was lucky enough and blessed enough to be given the opportunity to start one of the first hip hop TV program on national TV, The Pitch, on TMF, The Music Factory, and I'm here. I love the culture still to this day. I'm corporate, but hip hop is forever in my veins. So, yeah, it is what it is. And back to you, Leo.
Yeah, man. All right, yo. As some of y'all might have read, we're going to be talking about the influence of American fashion, and especially within the hip hop community, on our scene and our fashion here in the Netherlands, and especially in the 90s, because there was a lot of things going on during the 90s that a lot of y'all might not know about because you might have been too young. But no worry, we're gonna catch you up to speed. So hey, even in het Nederlands. In deze vierde talk gaan we even praten over hoe de invloed van Amerikaanse mode in hip-hop, overwaaide en wat voor invloed heeft gehad op de hip-hop scene hier in Nederland. Zeker in de jaren 90. Er gebeurde toen heel veel die nog steeds bezig zijn. Sommigen van jullie hebben het misschien niet helemaal door, simpelweg omdat jullie toen te jong waren. Maar dat maakt niet uit. We gaan jullie het allemaal, we gaan het gewoon lekker inhalen en jullie allemaal vertellen over hoe en wat. Waar zullen we beginnen eigenlijk? Want weet je, when I first started talking about this talk, I was thinking, man, who should I ask to be on the show? And I was like, it's gotta be Glaze. It's gotta be Glaze, and why? I'm gonna tell you why. Because you was one of the folks that I saw on television, and you was always rocking like the newest shit, the newest gear that I never heard of until I saw you guys and seen you guys put it on. And I was like, wait a minute, where can I get that? So, so you know what I'm saying? If it could have been jerseys, caps, jackets.
Yeah,
I mean, like, where did your fashion sense come from? Let's start with you, man.
My fashion sense came from New York, from really growing up in poverty, because that was the thing, you know, in New York, you know, in the 80s, you know, I grew up in the crack era in Brooklyn, and when you went to school, everybody was poor, but you know, nobody's parents had mortgages. You know, my grandparents had a mortgage, they had a house, but most people lived in the projects and they were kind of poor. But the way you could kind of show or even camouflage your poverty was with your outfit. Now you got to imagine, I got adopted, so I went from England to New York. So in England, I went from going to school in a school uniform to going to New York, where basically at the end of the day, everybody was dressed in Pumas, Adidas, British Knights, British Walkers, you know what I mean, Pro Keds, you know what I mean? They were it started off early, like 82, 83, it was more just a sneaker thing.
Yeah.
And then when you know, when hip hop started really coming up, I think it was like, for me, like really when you started hearing UTFO with Roxanne, that's when people really started dressing hip hop. That's when you would see people in the Lee jeans with the shell top Adidas. You understand? Yeah, for sure. You know, the Kangos, the Bell Kango, you know what I mean? That's when you start seeing people with the leather bombers. That's when hip hop really started getting an identity. And it really started coming from hip hop, from the B-boys. You understand? So you got to imagine, you could be poor as hell, but you know, you would be able to get some money together for some Lees or some Shell Torditas and still be fresh at school. But before I end this, there was a level under that. So imagine, I'm telling you, the people used to get this clothing to hide, you understand, almost their poverty. There was a level underneath that. There would be a level where, and it comes from a line on Biggie's song, Sky's the Limit. You know, I'm sewing tigers on my shirts and alligators. I want to see inside.
Yeah.
This line, anybody that went to school in the 80s in New York, we know what that was about. Because the thing is, we were so poor, we couldn't afford like 5 different shirts. So what we would do, we would go to Sears and Roebuck. Our parents would buy us clothes at Sears, but they would literally have the same shirts as Izod, Lacoste, or Slazenger. And we would literally sew on the alligators on the shirts. And every day, take off the alligator and put it on a different shirt
And
and
so
really run like that. So that's where this line comes from. So there's so many hidden codes even in hip hop that tell you about fashion. So that was the level under, and that was the level I was first at. Like really at the end of the day, because you know I got West Indian, you know, roots. You understand? And my grandparents will tell you, you go to school to learn, but not for a fashion show. But when you're growing up in the '80s in the crack era in New York, school is a fashion show because that's all you got that can give you identity. So that's basically when I came into my first sense of fashion.
Yo, man. I felt you on that alligator when I heard that rhyme. Yo, that's crazy. Yo, D, coming from the West Indies, your West Indian influence on the fashion, because you know we've seen you rock crazy shit on shows. We've seen you with the two brothers on the fourth floor doing your thing on stage. Did you have what was your influence with your West Indian background coming into the scene? What was it for you trying to push that into the scene?
I think it was the hustlers, you know, the guys selling the weed in school. They look fresh, you know what I'm saying? They had the cars, they had all the girls, and yeah, man, that's what you wanted to be like, you know, and you're younger. So yeah, and being from the Caribbean, you always gotta look fresh, you know what I'm saying? Always, man. Every day, Sunday. You know?
Every day.
Yeah, man, you have to.
I feel you, bro. I feel you.
Cool, you know.
And I heard some folks say that within the Voices of Fashion exhibition that we didn't pay a lot of attention to sneakers.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask you guys: are you guys sneakerheads?
Oh yeah, definitely.
How many pair of sneakers you got?
Well, in the '90s, I had a whole room full of the shit, man.
Hey, let me tell you, I'm not even trying to cut him off, but I'm going to tell you. You started by saying, yeah, you used to watch me be fresh. Half the shit I was wearing, I was stealing out of Renee's closet. Because, for real. Because Renee was not playing with it. Look, I'm going to tell you, look, we got a lot of stuff from America, but for those who know, or for those who don't know, there were two stores. There was one store in particular in Amsterdam. There was a few, but we'll talk about this one first. With Divine in Amsterdam's port. Divine was Stanley. Was my man. He was a Chinese surname guy. This dude always had the fresh shit. And I remember back in the days. Right now, if you go to Amsterdam, I think on the corner of where Munt Plain is, you'll see like a T-Mobile store. That used to be a hip-hop fashion store called X. And all there was a big X on it. And if you lived anywhere in the country, you would be like, yo, I gotta go to that store. X.
Yeah.
For real. And then, of course, you had in Den Haag, they had streets, right? They had a few joints. And buying gear back in the days, it was almost like being a DJ. How DJs had to go to like Rhythm Import and culture and dig in the crates for hot records. That's how we were with fashion. We really had to dig to get the fly shit, you know? Like now, it's the same actually. Everybody can kind of stream music and there's no real art to it. No, that's the same thing with fashion. Right now, you can get anything online. Back in the days, you had to really hunt and finesse
for it, man.
You had to look for it, you know?
Yeah,
I see it because
I'm a sneaker. I like the old school sneakers, man. It's just
hold up. we put sneakers. What's that?
It's fila.
And
hold up. If we go
hold them up again. Let's because Renee bought me a pair of those. I got a pair.
Hold up.
Hold them up again, Renee. Hold on.
Oh my God.
All right, so let me tell you. hold on. Let me
Hold on.
Let me tell you about these drug dealer sneakers right here. So listen, in like '84, look, I'm gonna tell you, back in the days, especially in hip hop, you know, like I said, a lot of the things that we would wear, they were the things that the rich white kids was wearing. So when you talk about Fila, New Balance, Sergio Tacchini, all these brands, like white boys from upper middle class, they used to wear that shit. So us, we was like, yo, if we want to kind of camouflage our poverty, we got to rock that fly shit like them. But we just took it to a whole different level. You know what I mean? You know, we had Diodoras, everything. But yeah, so these are really the brands. And these right here, Rene actually just recently bought me these fresh shirts right here. When they bought these are what you call crack dealer Nikes right here. Listen, I'm not talking about any other colors but the red or the blue, because these were the sneakers that in the crack era, anybody you saw wearing those shits in New York, they were hustling, you know? But but back to the sneakers, especially what Rene just pulled up. I remember, you know, you mentioned something about, you know, the West Indies, you know, like Renee's got like the coolest moms ever. So I know she was always hip with it, but like my grandparents had me. So they was really on that you go to school to learn and not for fashion show shit. So when I first got to America, I didn't have no fresh sneakers, you feel me? But there was this guy in my class named Lou, and Lou had all the freshest Adidas, this, that, and the other. But he had like, I think 3 sizes bigger than me. But he was like, don't worry, English, I got you, yo. So he used to give me like his Adidas to rock. And anybody who from the hood know about stuff in the front of the sneakers with the toilet paper, no doubt. And literally I would rock them shits to school for real. It's like, yo, being fresh and having fresh gear was such a big part of our culture, because like I said, it was a way for us to create our own identity, but still camouflage the poverty and the situations that we were living in economically as a people. Because like I said, it was crazy, because if you went to all of the schools in the ghettos, you would see the flyest and the freshest kids in the country. But if you look to what their families had, their families were living under the poverty line, like really struggling, but they made sure their kids had fresh gear. And the ones who couldn't provide their kids with gear because of the materialism that was going on in school, that's, truth be told, what forced a lot of kids to start selling drugs. Because the thing is, if you didn't have fly gear at school, you were kind of either picked on or seen as not being a cool kid, and nobody wanted to be an outsider. So you got to imagine, it's crazy. Our fashion was a gift and a curse. It was a way for us to express ourselves. But if you didn't have the money for that shit, most of the time it could force you into a lifestyle in a world that might not be too good for your health. So it was the gift and the curse, you know?
Because I can remember when I was younger, and especially at the end of the 80s and beginning of the 90s, there were like some shoes that I really, really wanted. And my mother couldn't get them because, we wasn't rich. We didn't have that money. But as soon as I got my paperwork together, I got all of them. I had to get them. So I'm like, I'm stacking all of these old school shoes that I used to see when I was smaller, but I couldn't afford when they came out.
Yeah, man.
So, but I feel what you guys are saying on that, because I think a lot of the hip hop fashion that we got influenced by was the things that rich white kids was putting as regular clothes.
Yeah.
But we just, I think it's a psychological thing, because you from the ghetto, or you're from a achterstand, right? But you don't want to, look like you're from there.
No.
That was it. It was the way we could camouflage ourselves. Matter of fact, real quick, just a big shout out to Freaks Do Arts and DJ Money on the check-in on the chat. Two also incredible pioneers of hip hop, fashion, and the culture. I just wanted to say hi to them because I see them in here. I just wanted to say hi to them.
Guys.
All right. Because to continue on that note, I can say like a brand that really it caught our attention within hip hop, and it was Helly Hansen.
Oh yeah, man.
I know you guys remember that brand, Helly Hansen, and that was crazy because ain't nobody had sailboats in the hood. Ain't nobody was sailing, but we were all wearing these sailing jackets.
And it was hot, man. We sweat.
It's crazy because Rene just posted a picture about 4 days ago with me and him wearing. I had a bright yellow Helly Hansen, and he had the white. Like we was early with Helly Hansen. Like we was early. Like I'm talking about even like because a lot of people got up on Helly Hansen from the Wu-Tang Cream video, you know. But we was like
or the Exhibit one.
Yeah, from Exhibit exactly.
Yeah,
the Exhibit. But we was on it early,
man.
And it was so crazy because you got to imagine, like we all knew. Like when I say we, I'm talking about anybody from the culture, black, white, whatever. We all knew what the hot shit was. And a lot of that came from watching the videos.
Yeah.
Because we would see all the fresh shit, you understand, in the videos. And then we'd be like, yo, how can we get that? And it's crazy because everybody at that time, you know, now it's normal when you hear people like, yeah, I'm going to Miami, I'm going to New York. But back then, it's like, it was a thing. Like if one of your friends was going to New York, like it was like they were going to fucking outer space. Like, yo, you going to New York? Yo, pick. You feel me?
Bring me something.
Yeah, I remember that. For, like when I was out here, when I used to hear Dutch people talking about, yo, can't even know New York, man. I was like, yo, like everybody, the whole room would stop and look at him like, yo, you going? Yo, see if you could pick up on some of this. Like people would put their orders in.
Yeah, man.
And it was crazy because it was really, really like that. It was really like that. We saw a lot of people got to see a lot of the fresh gear. I think really when the video started. So you're talking even before us. It's only right that we pay homage to your MTV Raps. You understand, Dr. Dre and Ed Lover. So before the pitch, there was Dr. Dre and Ed Lover, and that's where we saw all the Carcanine cross colors. You understand? That's where we saw Pac and Carcanine cross colors, all that shit, and that's what started it for us. And then it was like when we got put on, and we started pumping a lot of videos. That's when it started going into the Pellies, you understand, the Avarexes and all of. So hip hop really got a time capsule as far as fashion. You understand? Because when we started, it was just we were really on the going out of the Carcanine and the cross colors and this, that, and the other. And it really started then really going into the. You know, it started going into the Pellies, you understand, the Carcanines. And I'm going to tell you, I have a horrible South Pole story. I hate this brand. It's a personal thing. Rene know what it is. I can't, if you want to know the story, I'll tell you the story. But it's, I got a vicious South Pole story, man.
Oh, man.
So anyway, check this out. I'm going to tell you this crazy South Pole story. So anyway, one time I was on, like, because I was doing pretty well abroad, and we had to go to Germany to kind of do a performance at this music convention called PopCom. And in that time, you got to imagine, we had already done, pitch was already done. I think we had already finished, but I was still, doing the music thing abroad. Yeah. And I had to go to Germany. So I asked Rene, I was like, we got to get some gear. And at that time, you got to imagine, and Rene will tell you, I'm not lying. Before me and Rene, people used to borrow clothes and bring them back. Yeah. And me and Rene are the ones who was like, what? Hold on, let me get this right. I'm wearing your fucking brand on national TV, and you think I'm going to bring it back? And there was really guys just really op een Nederlands manier dankbaar om iets te krijgen. I'm like, yo, we ain't taking shit back. Nada. You understand? Nothing. And I would tell that to people. So we were already getting gear for years for free from like Stanley, from Divine. Not everybody gave us everything free, but you know, they had to pay homage to the fact that we were marketing a lot of this gear that they would sell to our public. Yeah. So anyway, after the pitch, I had to go to Germany. I said to Rene, yo, you know, let's get some gear, you know, this, that, and the other. So he reached out to his man. I ain't got to say which store. I ain't got to say which guy, but he reached out to this guy, and this guy gave him, because it was like 10 of us. Yeah. You know, we was going up there deep to perform. And he gave all of this South Pole gear. And I don't even like South Pole. But I was like, fuck it. In the back of my head, I was like, we getting it for free, so fuck it, whatever. And then we came back, and Rene was like, yo, we got to take all this stuff. I was like, huh, take the gear back? I said, what? And I mentioned the guy's name. I was like, this cheap mama, you understand? And Rene took the gear back, and I never forget, somehow there was like, you know, these little Scully beanie do-rag type of things? Yeah. One was missing. Like this shit cost, I think, I don't even know, was it euro or guilder time?
Guilders.
Yo, this shit cost 10 guilders. Can you believe that this dude literally wanted back the 10 guilders? I was like, F him, F South Pole. I ain't never wear that trash ever.
And we never wore it again.
Never wore it again. Never wore it again. And truth be told, there was, like I said, there was a lot of other brands that tried to sneakily come in. Mm-hmm. You know, the Maurice Malones tried to come in. And we were endorsed by them. Maurice Malone, oh my God, they gave me so much clothes. Holy shit. So much stuff. But yeah, no, man, like I said, the fashion and our culture go hand in hand. And I'm just blessed that we got to, you know, go through a great period with it. One of the things that does concern me, though, which I still feel a little bit salty about, is that people used to use our culture as a way to discriminate against us. And I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about. Like when we would go out in clubs back in the 90s, they played hip hop, but they didn't want nobody from hip hop culture in their clubs. Yeah, so they would look at what you were wearing and go, "Oh, you can't come in with sneakers on." Like
I remember that.
Any young person watching right now, please understand this was a thing.
Yep.
Like they literally would not let you in a club if you were wearing sneakers and they were playing hip hop inside. They'd be like, "Nah, sorry, can't let you in." And I never forget that shit. One time there was this club called Timeless on the Rembrandt's plane. And we were just, and we, look, me and Rene always was really like, you know what I mean? Really, we never was like super loud, you know, especially if we were, you know, we were respectable people. Mm-hmm. So we stand real quiet on this line and we get to the front of the door and the security, and security, look, they bumping hip hop inside, like all that shit. And Timeless was the place where all of the women hung out and all the football players. And when we got to the door, they was like, "Nah, you can't come in," because we were wearing sneakers. And then we walked, and it's crazy. I was like, "Oh, word?" I was like, "No problem." And we went to walk away. And then all of a sudden, somebody at the door saw us, one of the owners, like, "Yo, get him back in there. That's them guys from TV." So we walked in there. I think we stood in there 5 minutes. I walked out. Yeah. I guarantee, the next week on national TV, I shit on that entire club. Everybody, like we shut it down, huh? Like we shut the club down. We told them how racist they was, told them how they basically playing our culture in the club, but they don't want us in the club. Yo, I remember that next week we was walking past the Rembrandt's plane, on the Rembrandt's plane, going to Vibes, and the owner ran up on me, "Why you diss my club like this?" I was like, "Yo," I said, "because it's true." And I'm gonna tell you, it's so saddening when you have to think that everything about us, from our sneakers to our jeans to our tattoos, everything they use to try and block us from everything right now, this is socially acceptable for people who are not Black. to even be at work with hoodies on, sneakers, all that shit. But people don't know what we as Black people went through, and from hip hop people for this culture. For real, we had it really hard. Like now it's normal if you just see a Dutch kid tattooed up with a hoodie on, working in a fucking corporate job. But back when we was rocking
with cornrows.
Oh,
the old shit with cornrows. Yo, listen, I remember, man. I remember one of my saddest moments, man, was I remember I was living in Enschede, and it's the fashion story. That's what I'm talking about. I was living in Enschede, and I remember I had kind of just came from New York, and then I came down to Enschede to meet up with a guy who was a friend of mine, and he was at this he was at this bar called, I forgot what it was called, Luxembourg or some shit like this in Amsterdam. And I went in there, and it's a Dutch guy, and he produced hip hop music, but his brother was a lawyer, and it's a really Bacak family. Mm-hmm. And I walk in, but I'm styling on him. I got on the Chicago Bulls red, sweatshirt. I got the Guess jeans on, ripped up and shit with the red Reebok. Woo! I'm like, yo, I'm styling on him. And I'm sitting down there, and this is when I couldn't speak any Dutch at all. And I remember I was sitting there, and they were talking in Dutch, and they were laughing, and I was like, hey, what's so funny? I was like, yeah, your jeans are really famous. They're from a Dutch designer. And I was, Dutch designer? I said, these are Guess jeans, man. These ain't a Dutch designer. No, it's from a Dutch designer. And they kept on talking and laughing. And I was like, whatever. I didn't take no noise. So I went to get up to go to the toilet. And the girl who was working in the restaurant in Luxembourg, she was like, hey, she's like, these are not nice people you sitting with. I said, what you mean? She said, yeah, because they making fun of you. I said, what you mean they making fun of me? I said, yeah, they talking about your pants from a Dutch designer. The designer name they said was Albert Kout. That's not a Dutch designer. That's a street. And I felt so, I went back to the table. Man, I flipped the whole fucking table over. Really. Ooh. Really awesome. Because I was like, you got to imagine. And this was people who were getting money in our culture. Yeah. And I was just like, yo, I was like, man, and it's crazy to see it now as the norm, but back when we were rocking this shit and everything is like, they were calling our pants drollvangers, all kind of shit. You feel me?
Yeah, because I wanted to zoom in on that, because a lot of folks, they be watching these old videos. Mm-hmm. And I remember a young friend of mine was like, yeah, man, why are you guys always wearing those baggy clothing? Why were the clothing so baggy back then?
Can I do the breakdown on that?
School them.
Let me give you the breakdown. It goes back to our people and our culture and our poverty. See, what it was is that basically when you were growing up if you were growing up in the 70s or 80s, like I said, a lot of parents didn't have money in the ghettos, but you always had an older brother or uncle. Yeah. And they had a job, and they were fresh. And the thing is, when they would go out, you would sneak their jeans or whatever. So this is where it came from originally.
It was the hand-me-down.
It was hand-me-downs.
Yeah.
It was hand-me-downs, and that's what it is. And that's where the thing is, we were wearing hand-me-downs so much that we basically, when we started then going to shop, we automatically shopped in those sizes because everybody was wearing hand-me-downs. And that's really where the baggy pants comes from, because nobody understood it. Because even, you got to imagine, even brands like Ralph Lauren or Tommy Hilfiger that didn't cater to Black culture. Nope, they were like, how are these people turning our clothing into Black culture? Because they were like, we're not making these pants baggy. So why is it they just won't buy their own size? They didn't understand. It's because we were accustomed to wearing our uncles or our big brother's jeans or jacket or shirts because he had the name brands. Yeah. And this is where the whole evolution of baggy clothing comes from.
Yeah.
Man, amen to that. A lot of folks just don't know that part of the history because it's like a lot of our clothing history is written with let me say it differently. There is a lot of pain and poverty within our fashion.
Yeah, man.
And we had to make do with what we had.
Yeah.
And I guess we're such a great people that we created a culture out of
Nothing.
things that other people would consider poverty.
Yeah, that's it. You know, but that's hip hop, creating something out of nothing.
No, nothing. Exactly.
No,
Ex
hip hop
nihilo.
was created, you know, by Kool Herc taking breaks off of disco records and making them, turning it into something else, into an entire movement.
For real.
I tell you a funny hip hop story, hip hop fashion story. I remember when I first came here, and Rene know that shit. I always used to be a person who would rock one of my pants legs up.
Oh yeah.
Right?
One leg up.
One leg up, right? Always. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, it's so crazy how when people don't have information, how they get things confused. So I had people come up to me going, yo, what's that? That's like a gang thing, this, that, and the other. And I was like, no. I said, back in the days, before because this is the thing, as time evolved, when you started talking about 98, you understand, like 97, 96, you then started having companies make baggy clothes. Then you started having the Sean Johns and the April Walkers before that, and it was baggy, and then the bottoms was tailored. So it was kind of, it went in like this. Mm-hmm. But before that, don't forget, we were wearing the pants of our hand-me-downs from our uncles and our brothers.
Exactly.
And what it was is, because they were big and baggy, when you had a fresh pair of sneakers, it was so big it would cover over the sneaker. Oh, yeah. And you wanted people to see that you had new sneakers on. And
that's right.
We would roll up one pants leg, so we would be like, yeah, we got some new shit on today for your
right.
So this is where a lot, and people just automatically adopted that, but they didn't understand that was so people could see when you were wearing a fresh pair of kicks, because the other pants leg might be hanging over a pair of, especially with high tops, because you wanted people to see you was wearing Ewins or Jordans or Dunks. You understand? And this is really where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
True.
Man, you taking them back. You taking them back.
Definitely, man.
Yo, last thing I wanted to touch on is the because we've been talking about the 90s hip hop scene and the fashion we had there. You mentioned some names like Walker, Carl Kanai, Cross Colors. Mm-hmm. We had the Helly Hansen. We got at. I wanted to touch on the new guys. The new guys on the scene. Are you guys rocking any of the new generation's clothing?
No, no.
Hold up. Rene,
like, no.
You say no? You like nah?
No. I keep it old school, man.
You keep it old school?
I keep it old school. You know, I got my Averex jacket, my
well, he's kind of a combination of both, because his pants ain't baggy no more like they used to be. His pants ain't baggy like they used to be.
No.
It's just a slim fit. His t-shirts is
okay.
You slim fit.
So listen. If I speak for Rene, it will be like this. Rene's brands might be the same as they used to be, but the sizes have gone slimmer.
Yeah, but I can understand that. I can understand. You kind of adapted with the times.
Yeah. With me, I rock like Off-White and Daily Paper, and you know what I mean? But it also, for me, I don't really give a shit about the brands. I really care about the fit and the look of something. Like, I went the other day, I was in Zara, and I found a hoodie. Holy shit. It was giving me Champion hoodie flashbacks. The quality, the thickness. You understand? And people don't know that a Champion hoodie was a thing. It was really a thing. It was like, if you rocked the Champion hoodie, you had a connection with somebody. You feel me?
Go ahead.
And let's not forget, a lot of people running around wearing New Era caps. You got to understand, before it was New Era, it was Starter.
Yeah.
That's what the brand was called. It was called Started. It just used to have an S on it. And I remember I was such a nostalgic dude that when they crossed over into New Era, I wouldn't wear the shit because I was like, that's not a real starter hat. and this stuff. Listen, and Rene was the cap guy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Listen,
I had a whole trunk.
What you got on, baby?
Listen. I got a story. I didn't listen. Rene already laughing because he know. I'm not gonna mention no names, but Rene had a hat chest in his room.
Yeah.
And this thing had about 200 caps in it.
Woo.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I'm talking about fresh, because Rene wouldn't just buy caps. Rene would take care of his shit. So Rene would like have the insides with the paper all really nice, keeping it full, everything. So he had like this hat, this chest with like 200 caps in it. And I remember one night, he was kind of on a date, or we were on dates, and there was this girl at the crib, and she was chilling in the living room, and but she was really wasted. So I was in the living room and shit, you know what I mean? And she was in the living room, and the girl, I woke up, the girl was on. So I was like, where the hell is this girl? Because I was on the alert back in the days for chicks who like to rob niggas. You feel me? So I got up and I'm looking through the crib. I don't see the girl nowhere. And then I look in Renee's room and she's sitting on the cat. She's sitting like Renee is sleeping in bed and the chick is sitting on the cat box. And so I'm going there like, yo, what you doing in here, man? Yo, come on. And I take her back to the living room and she basically fall asleep, wake up in the morning and leave. Anyway, Renee wakes up now and I'm telling him the story. He's like, yo, what happened last night? And I start telling him the same story I'm telling you. I was like, yeah, she got up and then I saw her in her room sitting and then I was like, oh shit. I ran into Renee's room. I pulled open the check, and just like I thought, this chick was so drunk, she walked in Renee's room thinking it was the toilet and pissed all over.
Oh,
shit. For real. When I walked in the room, she was just sitting there like this.
Oh, God, nah, man.
That's crazy.
Nah, bro. Nah, man.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
So we're not going to talk whether he threw the caps away or if he got them steam clean. But
Oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah, it was.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it was.
All right. Yeah, man. Because the thing is, what I'm seeing right now is a lot of these new brands are doing a lot of things that I saw older brands do back in the day. It's like almost like a revival of old stuff coming back.
Yeah, everything comes back. Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like for real. It's like a lot of stuff that I'm seeing, even at the Voice of Fashion. I'm like, wait a minute, this is new.
Yeah.
We used to have this back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you think about it, it's like that with all fashion. Because even if you looked at how guys' beards are now and hairstyles, like you see that shit in the early 1900s, late 1800s. You understand?
Really?
Basically, people who had beard culture. So everything comes back, and every generation puts their new twist on it. But I'll tell you, man, I'll be honest with you. I thought when I was growing up in the 80s, it was bad with materialism. But if I look at the generation today, yo, man, you got these little girls running around with Birkin bags. You got dudes running around wearing Rolexes. Like, it's really gone extreme.
And I wanted to touch on that too, because we're going into the last quarter. I wanted to touch on that, the fact that and we can see it in the Voices of Fashion exhibition. We are seeing a lot of the like upper class brands. You know what I mean? Like the Gucci's, the Louis Vuittons, especially with Virgil Abloh coming in and doing Louis Vuitton. I'm seeing more Louis Vuitton on kids nowadays than I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, well,
And these kids are paying.
Yeah, well, the thing is, of course, as time evolves, people make more money. Now we have the internet, so kids can hustle. You understand? A lot of them, in our time, there wasn't too many ways to get paid. It was rap, a normal 9 to 5, or you hustle. Those were the 3 options, and nobody who was doing either of them, apart from the guys who hustled, were making real money. If you rapped, you weren't really making money. No. You understand? And if you worked a 9 to 5, you'll be happy if you could buy one nice thing per month. You understand? But right now, it's just like, it's incredible the amount of ways kids have to make money. I mean, look at what influencers do right now. You make money just talking on your social. So like I said, but I'm all for it, man. You get a lot of old dudes, they be like, yeah, and all the time. Yo, I'm happy these young dudes is making money. When I came to this country, it was do normaal, doe je gek genoeg, and they made us feel bad for everything we spent money on, from cars to clothes to jewelry, especially. I remember at CMF one time, I had recorded a show in front of Eric the Spot, and I was wearing my Rolex, and he watched my whole opnames. And jewelry has always been a part of our fashion, a part of our culture. And I was wearing shit for years. And that Monday that came around, they called me up into the office. It's like, yo, Glaze, we're wondering if you could stop wearing your jewelry on air because it's sends a bad message to the kids. I'm like, huh?
That's stupid.
Yo, I was like, what kind of crazy shit is that? Yo, I'm not lying. Tuesday live show, the top 50 with Eric the Swat, brand new Rolex. Hi, this is Eric the Swat. Welcome by the top 50. And I was like, so it's cool as long as I'll do it. You understand? So, like it was really bad. So I'm so happy for all these young Dutch kids now who done flipped the whole shit. I'm happy because they driving around in Lambos now, all kind of shit. I know they driving the norms of this country crazy by just the way they have taken it. And I'm going to tell you, you have all of that to thank to hip hop. Straight up. Hip hop culture made every Dutch kid, every Dutch guy or girl want to rock a hoodie, want to rock fly sneakers, want to be cool, want to have motherfucking cornrow, want to be the cool dude, talk with the slang. It all comes from hip hop. So for me, I'm not like one of these old bitter dudes. I just look at it like we ended up getting y'all anyway, because that's what hip hop is. Our culture is like a virus. And even if you diss the shit out of it at one point in your life, it's gonna infect you. Because at the end of the day, it was built out of the coolest of the cool. You understand? Hip hop was built on Black genius. Rock and roll was built on Black genius. Jazz was built on Black genius. You understand? The blues was built on Black genius. I don't care about the Elvises or whoever who came after. It was all built on Black genius. And that is the same thing for hip hop and the same thing for fashion. And when you're talking about Virgil Abloh and this, that, and the other, one thing that I could tell you, and I said it to your producers earlier, people don't choose hip hop. Hip hop choose shit. So we as a culture chose. We chose Louis Vuitton. We chose Gucci. We chose Ralph Lauren. We chose Sophia. We made the wackest, corny nerd shit on earth like New Balance be dope. You understand? So
for real.
All the people who really look down on Black culture and hip hop culture, yo, the proof is in the pudding. You understand? It is what it is. And like I said, we choose shit. It doesn't.
Truth be known, I told this to the Gario brothers, Quincy Gario and his brother. We were at a meetup in the library for I think it was for Keti Koti this year, and I schooled them on that. I was like, bro, when we made shit hot, hip hop made the stuff hot. You could have like a corny ass brand, but when we put it on, it's the shit. And I think Janice Dill said it best. We are the curators of cool.
We are.
We truly are.
Yeah.
We're the best promoters ever. We just do it and it's the shit.
You got the
We
belt
make it poppin'.
on right there. Boof.
Woo!
What?
Right there.
I see you. I see you, brother.
Hold on, I'm colorblind. What color is that? Orange?
Orange.
I'll be rocking that on King's Day, yo.
You know it.
Hold on, I got something for those. I got something for that.
Oh.
Fashion battle.
Oh, you taking us way back with this one.
Yeah, man.
Hey, I got something for the hat.
You do?
Bring it.
Oh.
Oh my God. Oh.
That's you?
Oh.
Oh, those are
Oh.
Yes,
Those
don't
are
worry.
ill.
Hey, let me tell you something. The closet is
shit.
still on fire. Yeah. Ain't
Oh,
nothing
damn.
changed but the year. Ain't nothing changed but the year for us.
Yeah,
Ain't no
man.
cheese, but
Everything
man,
is back, you know, the bomber jacket.
Yeah, that's right. You got the
woo!
triple bubble goose right there.
Bubble goose.
That's
All
it.
coming back, man.
Oh, you know, the only jacket I had to do a lot to get was this one,
Hmm.
the Detroit Lions,
Oh, yeah.
Eddie Murphy's jacket,
Oh, yeah.
the
That's
Beverly
dope.
Hills Cop.
Yeah.
I had to pull some strings to get that jacket. But you know what I'm saying? It's pop culture, and Eddie rocked it, and man, it's one of the greatest jackets I got in my closet.
It makes you feel good when you got it on, right?
Man, for real. Especially because I grew up on that. You know, when you were small, especially I can only talk for myself right now. When I was small, younger, I watched Beverly Hills Cop 2, and that was like the first time I saw a black dude be the hero, not the side guy, not the help, none of that. He was the hero of the show. He was the shit. And the thing he rocked those Adidas Pro Conferences.
Yeah.
Man, I was like, man, I wanted to get his whole shit, but we couldn't get it because, like I said, we didn't have that money back then.
No.
But now that I got it, I'm getting all that
Got it.
stuff. I'm getting all that stuff.
Yeah.
Man, last thing I want to touch on, and that is to maybe folks who wanna get into the fashion, into the fashion brand, and especially with the young kids, the generation we got, like the daily papers, the para. If you're a startup, you're starting right now. What advice would you guys give to the young kids watching this right now?
Right?
Original. Just make what you love, you know? Try to be original. You know, and
What a lot of people don't know is that Rene got his own brand too. So he's got A-Wall, and he does customization of jackets. And that's crazy what you just asked, because the first thing that came out of his mouth was be original. And that's the thing with what Rene does, you know, with his brand. There's no two pieces alike. It's like everything is original. You understand? So I think be original is a great piece of advice. And of course, for the rest, I think everything you would possibly want to know about setting up, starting a fashion brand, you could find the information on YouTube. You understand? And that's with anything.
yeah.
And that's why this generation is so lucky, because we had to figure it out for ourselves. You know, there was no YouTube to tell us with tutorials, hey, contact this person, get this, go to China for that, do your sample. You understand?
Everything's online.
Everything's online, man. I mean, you know, so my biggest piece of advice for anybody to do anything, Google, YouTube. That's it.
Get on Google. Do your Googles.
Yeah, for real.
Ask Google what you want, ask YouTube what you want, and they're gonna tell you how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I got one more question for Glaze. Right now, in, like, say, New York, what's the thing that's popping right now? Last time you've been, what's the thing that caught your eye? Was like, oh, this is the shit they doing now.
Well, you have to imagine, because of the internet, there's no difference. It's about it's not about local fashion anymore. It's about global fashion. So if Off-White is popping here, Off-White is popping in New York, Daily Paper is popping in New York. Like, and that's the crazy shit. It's like back in the days, it's like you would see a difference in people, how they dress culturally. But because of hip hop and because of the internet, if you go right now to Japan, they looking like kids in Amsterdam. Amsterdam kids looking like kids in New York. They got their own little, flair to it, but it's basically, the brands are there. Fear of God brand, Daily Paper. There are a lot of dope brands out, a lot of new brands. You understand? Big shout out to Phil in Pieces, also a Dutch brand. Love what the kid done. You understand? He basically made a real chic Air Force One. You understand? That's what he done. He made a chic. So people got to take stuff and put their own spin on it, man. But as far as you're talking about what is popping, it's about international brands, man. It's about international and what you personally bring to it. So you see how Rene is wearing this Kango right now. Somebody else could wear that shit and it just won't hit that same way. You feel me? So it's about it's about who you are as a person, what you bring to what you wearing. You understand? Because I see a lot of people try to rock shit that they see on somebody else, but it just ain't knocking the same.
It ain't knocking the same.
Because let's get one thing clear, for all these people who basically want to see shit and just clone it and think they're gonna buy shit. Let me tell you something. It's the attitude that makes the clothes.
True.
It's the attitude that makes the fashion. That's why fashion models are so important to selling a collection. When they come down that runway, their whole vibe that they on is what those buyers are looking at. Like they got to embody what that is. And this is why models are even so important. Because that's the thing. People always think like, yeah, I could also be a model. I'm like, no, you might look good, but you can't be a model because models' jobs are to sell clothing. And what sells clothing is fucking attitude. You feel me?
I'm the shit attitude.
That's it.
It's attitude. It's attitude, brother.
Yeah.
Man, it's crazy. I'm seeing a lot of young brands starting up. I do want to give a shout out to the guys at Amsterdam because I went to their spot last weekend, and they showed me Amsterdam, and they showed me around. And
there are a lot of Dutch brands coming up. Amsterdam Capitals, Amsterdam Denim. What they called?
I got these from them.
Nice.
Oh, what?
It's some self-etch, and they got the waterpel.
Oh man.
Oh man, that's crazy. So,
I like that.
I got this from these guys. They were, they was good peoples. Had a nice conversation, and they gave me some tips on some ins and out about the business and how to start and how they started. So because you already know, because I'm trying to do my own stuff. Yeah. As you guys can see. So you already know. So I'm just happy to got some info and what to do. So anytime I can school folks and help them out.
Yeah, man.
So if this podium can be a podium so that we can school the kids.
I got you, yo. I didn't even know you wanted to go like that. I got you. Just call me. Let's call me. I got you. My man, my people's got entire production lines, packaging, drop shipping, everything, and on demand. So you have to do no stock. There it is.
For real.
See Leroy's face like, oh my God, no stock.
God. It is. That's what it's for. So so we're trying to get it in. We're trying to get it in.
I got you. If you call me after this, I got you. I'm gonna link you up with my peoples. They take care of you. You literally just put your site up. People could go there and they'll take care of everything. All the orders, the shipping. All you do is get a check.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So hopefully this goes for other folks who are listening too, because they might be, oh man, I gotta get the Glaze. All right, y'all. Hey man, I want to give a big shout out to y'all, Glaze, D-Rock, Rene,
Salute,
thanks
man.
for schooling us and telling us about
Anytime.
some stuff that people just I know they never heard of.
Mm.
Let, let, me,
You know, what I'm saying?
let me just say this one thing to you before we go. We just want to say thank you to you also, and I'm going to tell you why. We are in a discussion about Black fashion inside a museum.
Yeah.
Not too many people would fight for us to have that occur. And we know that you are one of these people to fight for these type of things. If you would have talked 30 years ago, you know, or even 10 years ago about Black fashion exhibit being inside of a museum, it didn't exist. And this is a great achievement, but what we need to have after this in the next 10 years, Black owned museums also. So it starts here.
Call me up, brother.
Yeah, for real.
It starts here, like I said, but it starts because of people like you and also the people who are backing you, all the good Dutch people backing you, because like I said, you know, a lot of people, you know, got to understand pro-Black don't mean anti-white. It's just a love for our culture, a love for our people. But a lot of shit that we do it with white Dutch guys who love our culture, who understand equality and love will prevail over everything. So a big shout out to all of those white brothers of ours, our white brothers and sisters from the culture who help us put this shit down and fight for our equal voice and our seat at the table.
We salute you.
Amen to that. Amen to that. And on that note, I wanted to give a shout out to everybody who's watching this. Thank you for watching this installment of Voices of Fashion Talk. I want to give a shout out to the people behind the cameras who made this happen.
Yeah.
Michiel and Kirsten, if she's watching, I hope she is. Nienke, of course, the director, Bart Rutte. And Janice Dull, not to forget, because she was the curator. So,
and like I said, you just mentioned a whole bunch of Dutch names. These people didn't have to do this, and they did, and that's what makes the difference. You understand? And I believe this is the only way we, as a human race, and his humanity can progress and move forward in unity for sure.
Amen to that. So, on that note, I'm going to wish everybody a good night. And catch you on the flip side.
On the flip side.
Thank you.
Hey, by the way, don't let nobody sit on your hat box, huh?
Crazy.
All right. Peace, everybody.
Peace, everybody.